and story mapping with Mrs. Owens. Okay, so friends, the last time we were together, we completed the revision of my story about making Easter eggs. So friends, now that my revision is all completed, as you can see, I have redrafted my story, my ST and O, and my R and my Y to include all of those awesome revisions that we made, okay? So you see that is only in one color. Everything looks totally different. So friends, now that we have revised the story, we get down to the editing part, okay? So the editing, friends, is when we go back to our revision, okay? And we begin to go through all of the different parts of our story and check for misspellings, punctuations that we forgot to use, quotation marks that we forgot to put in. Okay, this is when we get down to the nitty gritty, when we look for all the tiny little details, friends, that could take away from our writing, okay? That could confuse our reader, okay? Remember, punctuations are super important because they tell our reader where to stop. They tell our reader, how to feel. Sometimes when we're really excited about something, we use those big exclamation points, okay? So this is the part of our writing friends that gets really, really exciting, okay? The editing. So Mrs. Owens is going to start with her STO, okay? And I'm going to go all the way down and through my R and Y. So I'm going to read, and as I read, I'm going to pause and see, do I need to edit anything? Do I need to add anything to my writing? Any punctuations, any misspellings? Okay, here we go. On the Friday before, I see a spelling error right away. Before, okay? So the word before has a silent E at the end. So I am going to go ahead and add that silent E, okay? On the Friday before, okay? Notice, friends, when you edit, you should always have a different color than your writing. Most of the times we edit using red pen or red ink, okay? Red marker. But the most important thing is that you're able to see your corrections, your edits. So on the Friday before Easter, I see another mistake. Okay, the word Easter should be capitalized because it's a holiday, right? So I am going to cross out my lowercase e, and on the top, I'm going to write a capital E. So I know that when I go back to write my final draft before I publish, I'm going to make sure that that's a capital. On the Friday before Easter, my school had an Easter egg dyeing celebration. Again, I'm going to cross out that lowercase e, make it a capital. Okay, good. I put a period there. This was my first time, I forgot my silent E. So I'm going to go ahead and write that in. This was my first time hosting a Friday celebration. Oh, friends, I noticed 2 mistakes, okay? I noticed a mistake up here I forgot to fix. Did you guys see that? Friends, this word, Friday, is a day of the week, so it should be capitalized. I'm going to cross off this lowercase f, and I'm going to put a capital F on top. And right here, hosting a Friday celebration, I'm going to cross off this lowercase f and put a capital one right on top. Good. Okay, this was my first time hosting a Friday celebration, and I was nervous. Friends, did you spot that mistake that I made? What was it? Yup, that's right. I forgot to make my I capital. So friends, when we're writing and we use the word I in a sentence, we always want to make sure that it's capitalized because that word is just one letter and it's so lonely. So we want to make sure that it's standing out and it's looking big and strong. Okay? Now, I think that we edited the S in my story really well. We're going to move on to the T, the talking characters, okay? So, I noticed, friends, that to connect my T to my S, I use what we call a transition word, okay? My transition word was luckily, okay? So, I did put a capital letter. That's awesome. But whenever you use a transitional word or phrase, you always want to put a comma behind it so that we can pause as we read, okay? Luckily, comma, my daughter and son were there to assist me. Many of my students as well as students from other classes and other teachers were also there. So friends, I'm noticing a problem right away. This is a huge run-on sentence. Why? Because I failed to put any punctuations. I didn't put any periods. Okay? So let me go back and read it again and take my time. Luckily, comma, my daughter and son were there to assist me. Period. Okay? So I put a big period right there. Now, as you know, after every period starts a sentence starts with a capital letter. Okay? So here I have the word many, but I have it in lowercase. So I'm going to cross that out and I'm going to put a capital M on top. Many of my students, as well as students from other classes and other teachers, were also there. So friends, that's a lot of ands, okay? And when we use ands, we like to use commas, okay? Because and is a conjunction, right? So it's bringing two parts of a sentence together. So we need to put some commas in there. Many of my students, as well as students from other classes, comma, and other teachers were also there. That sounds much better. Let me go back and read that one more time. Many of my students, as well as students from other classes, comma, many of my students, comma, okay, many of my students, comma, as well as students from other classes, comma, and other teachers were also there. Perfect, okay? So now my reader knows that they need to pause so it doesn't sound all jumbled together when they're reading it. Let's move on. I noticed another mistake, okay? Here I need to edit for capitalization because this letter should be capital. That made me feel so much better, okay? And at the end of my sentence, I forgot a period. So I need to go ahead and add that in there. So friends, now that my T looks great, I'm going to move into the O, okay? Just as the event was beginning, I noticed that one of my gloves was missing. Okay. So I did end my sentence with a period, which is great. But friends, I noticed that I made two mistakes here at the beginning of my O. First of all, as you can see, the first letter is lowercase. And you know that sentences always start with a what? A capital letter. That's right. So I'm going to cross this lowercase j out and I'm going to make it a capital. Just as the event was beginning. Okay. So friends, this is really a transitional phrase to connect my O to my T. So that means after every transitional phrase comes a, that's right, a comma. So I'm going to put a comma right here. Just as the event was beginning, pause, I noticed that one of my gloves was missing. Great, that's perfect, okay? I made sure that my I was capitalized, and I made sure that I had a period at the end of that sentence. So let's move on. It looks like one of my gloves are missing, I said. Oh boy, I started to feel more nervous. Okay, friends, so I'm noticing here that I have a lot of work to do. First of all, I am starting a new sentence. So the first thing I need to do is make sure that this I, which is lowercase, is capitalized. So I'm going to cross that out. I'm going to put capital I on top of it. Okay? Now, it looks like one of my gloves are missing, I said. Pause. Hold on a second. What is this sentence missing? Absolutely, it's missing dialogue tags. Friends, whenever you're writing and you have one of your talking characters that are speaking, you always want to make sure you put your dialogue tags or your quotation marks around what they're saying. So what I should do, friends, is right here where I begin talking, I am going to put quotation marks. It looks like one of my gloves are missing. And I'm going to put my quotation mark right at the end of what I said. So it looks like one of my gloves are missing, comma, okay? Because that's a sentence that I just spoke, so I want to put a comma before I let everybody know that I said that. I said. So I'm looking at the I said here, and I see that my I is lowercase. What did we say about I's? I should always be capital in your sentence when they're alone. So it looks like one of my gloves are missing, comma, with my quotation mark surrounding I said. I didn't put a period. There we go. Period at the end of my sentence. I started to feel more nervous. Okay. This sentence is fine so far. It starts with a capital letter. The only thing that I'm noticing wrong with this sentence, friends, what is it? That's right. No period at the end. Okay. There we go. I'm going to put a period at the end. Awesome. So, friends, I'm loving how my STNO is looking so far. I made sure I checked for my misspellings. I made sure I checked for my punctuation marks. I made sure I checked for my capitalization and my quotation mark as well as my commas, okay? So I'm feeling really, really good about this. Now, I am going to move on, and I'm going to do a quick switcheroo, okay? So I'm going to put the R and the Y on this side, and I'm going to put my STNO over here since it's complete. Now I want to go to work on the R and the Y. Okay, friends, so let's take another look. In that moment, my assistant Azaria said it might have fell under the table. So, friends, what are you noticing right off the bat? What are you noticing? And I think I'm going to just move this over just a little bit more. Oh, no, that doesn't help. I need to move it this way. Let's see if that's better. Yep, it is. Okay, so, friends, what have you noticed? Absolutely, you're right. You notice, just like I did, this letter should be capital. We always start sentences with capital letters. So, I am going to cross out the lowercase, and I'm going to write the capital on top. All right. In that moment, my assistant Azaria said it might have fell under the table. Now, friends, when I read that sentence, it actually sounds really fine. It actually sounds like there's nothing missing. But because I know the rule about transitional phrases, and that whenever you use a transitional phrase, you always want to put a comma because it's a pause, right? So this is a transitional phrase. In that moment, okay, that's a transitional phrase to connect my R to my O, okay? Because the last thing I said was I started to feel nervous. In that moment, comma, my assistant Azaria, I just noticed something. Did you notice that the name Azaria is lowercase, okay? Whenever you're writing a person's name, it should always be what? Capitalized. That's right. So I'm going to cross this out, and I'm going to put a capital A right on top, okay? So my assistant Azaria said, comma, it might have fell under the table, okay? Now, friends, again, this appears to be just fine, but because I know the rule about whenever someone is speaking in my story, I have to put what? Quotation marks. That's right, or dialogue tags. So, in that moment, my assistant Azaria said, comma, quotation mark, it might have fell under the table. All right, I put my quotation mark in. But friends, let's see. Am I finished? What do you think? Let's go back and read it one more time. In that moment, my assistant, Azaria said, comma, it might have fell under the table. Period. Okay, friends, I think we're good. I think we're good. Let's look at the next sentence. You are right, I said. Look under the table to see if it is there, please. Okay. So, friends, right away, I'm noticing that, yes, I did put a period at the end of the sentence, and I did start my sentence with a capital letter. However, I forgot to do something. What did I forget, friends? Yup, I forgot my dialogue tag. Why do I need dialogue tag? Because I said something. What did I say? I said you're right. So friends, I'm going to go ahead and put my dialogue tags or my quotation marks right here. You're right, I said. Look under the table to see if it is there, please. Okay. So friends, after I say something, right, that means I'm going to put a comma. You're right, comma, I said. Great. But now I'm noticing something else. I'm noticing, friends, that there goes that lowercase I all by itself. So whenever I am writing and I use the word I in a sentence, I need to make sure that it's capitalized. Remember, it's all by itself. We want to make it look big and strong. Okay. You're right, I said. Look under the table to see if it is there, please. Okay. Now that sounds wonderful. You're right, I said. Look under the table to see if it is there, please. Okay. So now I'm noticing that I forgot something at the end of my sentence. What do I need to put, friends? A period. That's right. Okay. So I'm going to put my period right there. Friends, we are almost done. You guys are doing great. Just keep hanging in there with me. We're up to the Y. Sure enough, wow, friends, this looks really good. Already I'm noticing I started with a capital. I'm noticing that I put a comma after my transitional phrase. Sure enough. My assistant was right. Wow. Okay. So I put a period at the end of my sentence. Great. Uh-oh. I'm noticing. The beginning of a new sentence is with a lowercase letter. Not good. I'm going to cross that out and put a capital letter on top. She passed me the missing glove, and I continued to show all the scholars at Ivy Hill Prep how to dye their Easter eggs. Wow. Friends, that's a pretty long sentence, but it's okay. Okay? The only thing that I'm noticing that's wrong with this sentence, friends, are you... Well, yeah, you're right. Absolutely. I forgot to capitalize the name of our school. Friends, remember, whenever you're writing a name in a story or in a sentence, it should always be capitalized. So, I'm going to cross off the I in Ivy Hill because that should be capitalized. The H in Hill should be capitalized. And last but not least, the P in Prep should be capitalized, okay? I continue to show the scholars at Ivy Hill Prep how to dye their Easter eggs. Oh, I see another boo-boo. Wow. Remember, whenever we are writing holidays, we always capitalize them, right? So Easter should be with a capital E, okay? I continue to show all my scholars at Ivy Hill Prep how to dye their Easter eggs. We made beautiful eggs and it was so much fun. Wow, friends, I think that we did a great job with this editing, but there's only one thing that I would do. I think I'm going to change this period to a nice big exclamation point, okay? To put some umph in there, some feeling in there. We made beautiful eggs, and it was so much fun. Friends, as you can see, I have edited my story completely from the S all the way to the Y. Remember, when you're editing your story, all you're doing is going back. You're checking for your grammatical errors, whatever you misspelled. You're checking for your punctuations, your periods, your commas, your quotation marks or dialogue tags, okay? You're also checking your transitional phrases to make sure that you're putting a comma behind them. You're checking to make sure that your sentences start with a capital letter and end with the appropriate punctuation. So friends, this is what I want you to do. I want you to go back to your writing, okay? Take your revised work, rewrite it just as Mrs. Owens rewrote her revised work, okay? Then I want you to get in there with that red or pink marker or any different color marker, and I want you to start going through and looking for all your mistakes, okay? And you're going to correct them right on the same paper. And then finally, when it's all done, you're going to rewrite it. And guess what, friends? That's right. You're going to publish it, and it's going to be perfect. Friends, I hope you enjoyed going through the steps of editing with me, and I can't wait to see your work when it's all edited. See you next time. Bye.